Welcome back. Once again, all of my low-carb friends, and for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Today I have another very easy keto dessert recipe for you. Today I'm going to show you how to make keto carrot cake with a very light keto cream cheese frosting. Very easy, very delicious. And if you want a printable version of this recipe, you can check out my website at janetsdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of this recipe and other goodies there for you. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see lots of easy, delicious, low-carb keto recipes, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time I put out videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And if you'd like to help support the channel, make sure you scroll down in the description of the video. You'll see some affiliate links. Anytime you purchase anything using those affiliate links, a small portion of your purchase will go to me and help support the channel. So, while we do all that, let's get cooking. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Line an 8 by 8 inch cake pan with parchment paper and allow the paper to hang over the sides just a little bit so you can easily remove the cake once it's done baking. In a large mixing bowl, combine 120 grams or around 17 tablespoons of coconut flour, 75 grams or around 6 tablespoons of the granulated sweetener of your choice. I'm using granulated monk fruit sweetener. You can use whatever granulated sweetener you want. You can also adjust this more or less depending on how sweet you want your cake. Add 75 grams or around 6 tablespoons of the brown sugar sweetener of your choice. I'm using brown monk fruit sweetener. You can use whatever brown sweetener you want. And again, you can adjust this also more or less depending on how sweet you want your cake. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 15 grams or around 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 1 tablespoon of the dry spices of your choice. I'm using 1½ teaspoons of ground cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, and a 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. You can use whatever spices you want. You can also change or adjust them more or less according to your personal taste. Sift the dry ingredients all together until they are fully combined and there are no lumps in the dry ingredients. Add 4 large room temperature eggs. Make sure they are room temperature so they stir in more smooth. Stir the eggs into the dry ingredients until everything is fully combined and all the dry ingredients are moist. Add a 1/2 cup of butter that's been melted and cooled. Make sure it is cooled. You do not want to add hot butter. Stir the butter in until everything is fully combined. Add 135 grams or around 9 tablespoons of room temperature plain yogurt or sour cream, and 8 grams or around 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. You can adjust this more or less depending on how much of a vanilla hint you want in your cake. Stir everything all together until it's fully combined and a smooth dough has formed. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and push all the dough to the center of the bowl. Then form the dough into a smooth ball. Massage the ball in your hands just for about 20-30 seconds. This is just to make sure you have the right texture of your dough. The dough should be lightly moist and should be nice and smooth. It should be holding its shape well. If it's not holding its shape well and it feels dry and pieces of the dough are crumbling off, then you need to add just a little bit more either room temperature milk or room temperature water. If it seems like it's too moist and sticking to your hands, then you need to add just a tiny bit more coconut flour. For me, it's perfect. I don't need to add anything. After you've massaged it and you have the right texture, form the dough back into a ball and place it back into your mixing bowl. Then use a wooden spoon and break up the dough just a little bit. Fold in 80 grams or around a 1/2 cup of finely grated carrots. You can adjust the amount of carrots more or less depending on how much carrot you want in your cake. You can also, if you want to, add some chopped nuts or any other add-ins of your choice. Fold the carrots into the dough until everything is fully combined and the carrots are evenly distributed throughout the dough. Scrape the dough to the center of the bowl and form it into a ball. Then place the dough in the center of your prepared cake pan. Use your hands or the back of a measuring cup and press the dough evenly throughout the cake pan. Make sure you get it nice and even with the top evenly flat. Once the cake is pressed out, place it into your preheated oven and bake at 350 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes or until lightly golden around the edges and a tester comes out clean. Once the cake is done baking, remove it from the oven. It will be a little bit soft, but it will firm up as it cools. Allow it to cool in the pan for at least 1 hour so it can firm up really well. After the cake has cooled and firmed up, grasp the overhanging parchment paper and carefully lift the cake out of your cake pan. Then transfer it to a wire rack and allow it to cool completely before frosting it. Make sure you're careful when you are taking this out of your cake pan. It will still be a little bit warm, and gluten-free baked goods are always fragile when they are warm, so carefully remove it and carefully put it on the wire rack. For the frosting, in a large mixer bowl, place 4 ounces of room temperature very soft cream cheese. You do not want this melted, but you want it to be very soft so that it beats in smoothly. Add 2 tablespoons of very soft room temperature butter. Again, you don't want this melted, you just want it to be very soft so it blends smoothly. Add 7 grams or about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. You can adjust this more or less depending on how much of a vanilla hint you want in your frosting. Beat everything together on low for about 10 seconds or just until the ingredients start combining. Then increase the speed to medium and beat on medium for about 45 seconds to a minute, somewhere around in there, or until everything is fully combined and smooth. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and push the cream cheese mixture to the center of the bowl. Turn the mixer onto low and gradually add in 35 grams or around 1/3 cup of the powdered sweetener of your choice. I'm using powdered monk fruit allulose blend. You can use whatever powdered sweetener you want. You can also add a little bit more of the powdered sweetener if you want to, depending on how sweet you want your frosting and what type of consistency you want your frosting. For me, 1/3 cup is perfect. Make sure you add the sweetener just in small amounts so that it doesn't clump up on you and you have a nice smooth frosting. If you need to, you can always stop the mixer and scrape down the sides of the bowl so that all of your sweetener is getting fully combined. Once all the sweetener is added, then beat on medium for just about another 20-30 seconds. This is just to make sure that everything is fully combined and your frosting is completely smooth. Once you have the right consistency of your frosting, spread it evenly over your cooled cake. Again, make sure your cake is completely cooled before you try to frost it. If you try to frost it when it's warm, you run the risk of your cake falling apart. Also, this frosting recipe just makes for a nice thin layer of frosting over the top, which for me is perfect. I don't want it overly sweet, but if you're a person who likes a more thick layer of frosting, you can always double this recipe and have a more thick layer of frosting on that. Once the frosting is spread evenly, you can leave it just as it is, but I like to add a little bit of a cinnamon sugar topping over the frosting. If you want to do that, all you need to do is put 6 grams or around a half tablespoon of the brown sugar sweetener of your choice and a half teaspoon of ground cinnamon into a small bowl. Then use a fork and stir it all together until there's no lumps. Then use a spoon and just lightly sprinkle the cinnamon sugar topping lightly over the frosting until it's evenly spread. Then you can cut the cake into your desired size piece. You can eat it immediately. If you do have any leftovers, store it in an airtight container in your refrigerator for up to 5 days. Eat and enjoy. And that's our recipe of the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up like button, click that subscribe button, leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make, and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.